He's just, strolls across, chatting to people as he goes. And it's not entirely surprising that finally there is an explosion. And it's an explosion that has something to do with the fact that his own best friends are too frightened by what he's doing to be with him. So he dies. And what does he do then? He goes back to the friends who've abandoned him and says, okay, let's start again. Let's see if you've got it this time. So he builds peace even with his own friends who've run away. So there's something about the peacemakers, I think, that's just so deeply about Jesus and who he is at every moment.
Can I just ask one more question and then we'll break for a cup of tea? We will when it arrives. Is there anything more you want to say in reflecting on some of the stories that you heard about what people are involved in? And anything you'd like to say, this is the first day of a conference, a course, an experience that will go on for around about 9 or 10 days. Some of it will take place in London. Then those who've come over are going to be going mainly in twos to different dioceses where there has been conflict. They're going to, a couple are going to Belfast, going to Nottingham, going to Wigan, Newcastle, Leeds, to see something there. And then we're all joining up again in Coventry, which of course has a real place within the whole question of reconciliation. Anything that you would like to say to those as we're starting out on that journey, and any response to some of the stories that you've got?
I wanted to comment just very briefly on the favela experience that you described. Because when you talk about very young people, very young children in those conditions, I think how important it is for there to be an environment that helps children to know that the world is not completely imprisoned in conflict. So often in situations of real deprivation and real violence, as soon as people can talk and think, violence is built in. The story you told of the 8-year-old girl, what does she know of love or relationship except that it's violent, it's intrusive, it's abusive? And starting all the time with the most young and the most vulnerable, to say, remember, it doesn't have to be like this. That, to me, is so significant. And some of the work that I've seen with young people in South London especially has often focused on just this question. You can dictate almost by the time a child is 2 years old how some of their feelings and their habits will evolve. And you're therefore very challenged later on to try and put back some possibility of real relationship and real maturity. So I just want to pick that up from that experience as something that's absolutely vital, as it is, of course, with back to the young people who've been abducted. How do you issues in contact back together someone's human experience when they've had years not only of being the subjects of violence, but being made to be violent to other people. It's not only that terrible things have been done to them, they've been made to do terrible things to others. And they're trapped more deeply. So with young people particularly, with children, yeah, this is an absolute priority. I just wanted to underline that and say how moving it's been sometimes to see the miracles that can still occur, even when you think somebody has been completely trapped in an cycle, whether it's with gang violence in the streets of South London or something more dramatic elsewhere. Well, it's dramatic enough. That it can happen. And maybe just a word about Coventry as well, because I was in Coventry just a few weeks ago to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the opening of the new cathedral in Coventry. And because I'm now an old man, I can remember when the cathedral opened, and how that again said to people, something is possible that you didn't think was possible. Not just building a new cathedral, but building a new cathedral in full awareness of all the pain and the violence that lie behind it in the war. Building somewhere which can be a place to reach out to the enemy. And when I was there alongside people from Germany who came to take part in the celebration and to talk about what it had meant for them to have a relationship with Coventry. With friends from Nigeria, talking about another of these apparently Christian-Muslim, but in fact much more complicated conflicts there. And people from a number of other settings around the world that were deeply scarred by conflict. And they saw Coventry as a place that really, really worked on this intensely, and I just find it extremely moving. And I was asked to say a few words, as always happens, at a meeting of the people who belonged to the community of the Cross of Nails, which is gathered in Coventry. And what I thought of was a phrase from one of our 20th century Welsh poets, a poet called Waldo Williams. He was a Quaker, member of the Society of Friends. He went to jail for not paying his taxes because he didn't want his taxes to be used to pay for weapons. Mm-hmm. He wrote lots of articles about peace and a lot of poems. And he was a teacher in an elementary school. And I think he was one of the great saints of the 20th century. But he wrote one poem which is called What is Man? What is a human being? It's in Welsh, so I have to translate it. But it's a series of questions. What is language? What is a home? What is a country? And at one point, the question is, what is forgiveness? And he says, it's cutting a path through the thorns to stand alongside your old enemy. Cutting a path through the thorns to stand alongside your old enemy. And I just think that's a stunning image, really, because it reminds you that forgiveness is bloody hard work. You don't just do it by feeling nice. Cutting through the thorns means you're actually going to get scratched and injured in the process. And you end up not just embracing your enemy, but standing alongside them, sharing your humanity with them. And that just came to me on that visit to Coventry, and I share it with you as an image that means a lot to me.
Yes?
I just wanted to add a snapshot to what you were saying about the favelas, because I was in the City of God last week, and there was the square in the middle of the City of God, which had been the place where the most violence happened and where drug dealers exchanged. And they've turned it into a preschool for the entire community, and so they have hundreds of children coming in as such a visual image of hope and transformation. And we were there for the second birthday. But I think just that sense that things really can be different, and it's about investing in the children and their understanding of the good life.
I imagine, Archbishop, there are probably two things that you are often asked to do when you are in a particular place. One is to say a word. And the second is, could we have a photograph with you?
Yeah.